The year was 1914. Europe was a continent of empires brimming with confidence and ambition. Yet beneath the surface simmered a dangerous mix of nationalism, imperialism and military buildup. Few could have predicted the storm that was about to break. On a sunny June day, a seemingly insignificant event in Sarajevo, Bosnia, ignited the powder keg. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, set in motion a chain reaction that would engulf the world in war. Within weeks, Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia, triggering a cascade of alliances that drew the great powers into the conflict. Germany, allied with Austria-Hungary, declared war on Russia and France. Great Britain, obligated to defend Belgium's neutrality, declared war on Germany. The Great War had begun. The road to war was paved with complex alliances and simmering tensions. For decades, European powers had forged agreements promising to defend one another in case of attack. These alliances, intended to deter aggression, instead created a web of obligations that made war almost inevitable. Germany, a rising industrial and military power, felt threatened by its neighbours. It formed an alliance with Austria-Hungary and Italy, known as the Triple Alliance. On the other side, France, still smarting from its defeat in the Franco-Prussian War, allied with Russia. Great Britain, wary of German naval expansion, joined the Franco-Russian alliance, forming the Triple Entente. Nationalism, the fervent belief in one's nation and its superiority, further fueled the flames. In the Balkans, ethnic groups chafed under Ottoman and Austro-Hungarian rule, yearning for independence. This volatile mix of alliances, nationalism and imperial ambition created a tinderbox awaiting only a spark to ignite. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand provided that spark. Austria-Hungary, determined to crush Serbian nationalism, issued an ultimatum with deliberately unacceptable terms. When Serbia failed to meet all the demands, Austria-Hungary declared war. Germany, bound by its treaty with Austria-Hungary, pledged its support. Germany's war plan, the Schlieffen Plan, aimed for a swift victory by knocking France out of the war before Russia could mobilize. German armies invaded Belgium, violating its neutrality, and marched towards Paris. However, the Schlieffen Plan faltered. The Belgian army offered fierce resistance, buying precious time for the French and British. At the Battle of the Marne, just outside Paris, French and British forces halted the German advance. The war on the Western Front descended into a bloody stalemate. On the Western Front, a new and terrifying form of warfare emerged. Trench warfare. From the English Channel to the Swiss border, a vast network of trenches, dugouts and barbed wire entanglements scarred the landscape. Soldiers on both sides faced unimaginable conditions. Life in the trenches was a nightmare of mud, rats, disease and constant shelling. Attacks, often launched across no man's land, a desolate wasteland between enemy lines, resulted in horrific casualties. Machine guns, artillery and poison gas turned battlefields into landscapes of death. Millions of men fought and died in battles with names that would forever be etched in history: Verdun, the Somme, Passchendaele. These battles, characterized by their brutality and futility, resulted in staggering losses but yielded little strategic gain. The war on the Western Front became a gruesome war of attrition. Section 5. Global conflict battles beyond Europe. While the Western Front captured the world's attention, World War I was truly a global conflict. Battles raged in Eastern Europe, the Middle East, Africa and Asia. On the Eastern Front, Russia, despite its vast size and manpower, was hampered by poor leadership and inadequate supplies. German and Austro-Hungarian forces inflicted heavy casualties on the Russian army, but the vast distances and harsh conditions made decisive victory elusive. The Ottoman Empire, allied with Germany, opened new fronts in the Caucasus, Mesopotamia and the Dardanelles. British and Allied forces fought campaigns in Gallipoli, Palestine and Mesopotamia, seeking to secure strategic waterways and oil fields. Section 6, The Home Front, Sacrifice and Change. The impact of World War I extended far beyond the battlefields. On the home front, civilians felt the war's effects in countless ways. Governments mobilized their economies for war production, rationing food and materials. Women entered the workforce in unprecedented numbers, taking up jobs traditionally held by men. Propaganda posters and newsreels rallied support for the war effort, demonizing the enemy and glorifying sacrifice. Censorship silenced dissent, and civil liberties were curtailed in the name of national security. The war's impact on families was profound. Millions of women lost husbands, sons and brothers. Children grew up fatherless. The emotional toll of separation, loss and grief left an enduring scar on societies. For 3 years, the United States remained neutral in the European conflict. However, German submarine warfare, which targeted neutral ships carrying supplies to Britain, and the interception of the Zimmermann telegram, which revealed a German plot to entice Mexico into war against the United States, galvanized American public opinion. In April 1917, the United States declared war on Germany, entering the conflict on the side of the Allies. The arrival of fresh American troops and resources provided a much-needed boost to the Allied war effort. American troops, known as doughboys, fought with courage and determination in battles such as Belleau Wood, Château Thierry, and the Meuse-Argonne offensive. Their contributions helped to turn the tide of the war in favor of the Allies. By 1918, after more than 4 years of devastating warfare, all sides were exhausted. The German army, facing relentless Allied offensives and dwindling resources, was on the verge of collapse. The Austro-Hungarian and Ottoman empires were crumbling from within. On November 11, 1918, at 11 o'clock in the morning, an armistice agreement was signed in a railway carriage in Compiègne, France. The guns fell silent and the fighting came to an end. The world rejoiced at the end of the war, but the cost of victory was staggering. Millions lay dead and entire nations were in ruins. The world was forever changed by the Great War. World War I left an indelible mark on the 20th century. The Treaty of Versailles, signed in 1919, officially ended the war but sowed the seeds for future conflict. Germany, blamed for the war, was forced to accept harsh reparations and territorial losses, creating resentment that would fuel the rise of Nazism. The war shattered empires. The Austro-Hungarian, Ottoman and Russian empires collapsed, redrawn into new nations with their own rivalries and tensions. The map of Europe, and indeed the world, was redrawn. The war also had a profound impact on technology, society and culture. Advances in weaponry, communication and medicine transformed warfare. The war accelerated social change, empowering women and challenging traditional hierarchies. Artists, writers and thinkers grappled with the war's horrors, giving rise to new artistic movements and intellectual currents. World War I, the war to end all wars, tragically failed to live up to its name. Yet the conflict offers enduring lessons about the human cost of conflict, the dangers of nationalism and imperialism, and the importance of diplomacy and international cooperation. The stories of those who lived through the war, both soldiers and civilians, serve as a powerful reminder of the sacrifices made and the resilience of the human spirit. Their stories, passed down through generations, remind us to honor their memory by striving for a more peaceful and just world. As we remember the centennial of World War I, let us learn from the mistakes of the past and work to build a future where such horrors are never repeated. For in the words of the poet Wilfred Owen, "My subject is war and the pity of war. The poetry is in the pity."